where a human is recreating AI-made parts. So this is our AI-created Auger, and we're going to make a new version. So we have an actual Fusion file where we can manipulate all the different features and change things parametrically, and it should be more accurate and useful in the long term. So I'm going to start off, actually, before we even make another part, I'm going to make us do a section view here. Just pick a random section there. So this just allows us to see the internals of everything. And so the main thing we're going to be using this file for is measuring things. So for example, we can measure the internal and out external diameter. We see the distance between them is 2 millimeters. I don't know, it's shown up as 0 there, but minimum distance here is 2 millimeters. And so that's going to be really helpful when we're designing this part. I'll also mention that this is a step file that we're using here. An STL file is much harder to use, and it's much more just kind of loose geometry, and so the program doesn't really know how to take it, and so this is much easier to use. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to New Design, make a new part. So we're starting off here with nothing. That begs the question, kind of, how do we start this? Making this kind of Auger design is kind of tricky, so we're going to deal with that a little bit later. But we're actually going to start with purely just this housing. And I think the easiest way to do this is actually to revolve around a sketch. So I'm going to start this, make a sketch, make it vertical, and then, so I'm going to start with just the line tool. And so if we zoom in here at the bottom, show you this. So this is what we're trying to recreate, is one half of this. And if you look at the bottom here, this is actually, it doesn't come to a point, it comes to a little circle. So if we can come even closer, we can use this measure tool again. We can measure this circle, 0.4 in radius, 0.8 in diameter. And then this circle here is, this one is 0.4 in radius. This outer one is 1.5 in radius, so 3 in diameter, 3 millimeters. And then there's 1.1 distance between them. So that's great to know. So if you close this, we can come back to our sketch here. So I'm going to make a line out this way. I'm going to call it 0.4. So that's obviously really small. If you're going to come close, I'm going to drag this dimension down just so we can actually see it when we're at scale. And then make another line going up. We'll measure this in a second, but the line going up like this, in a very crude form, this is the internals of our auger. And then this is the externals of the auger, the external walls. So I'm doing it like this. Like, obviously this isn't very, like, that's not what it looks like, right? But we have one dimension here already. We can have more in just a second. This line is black because it is defined, and so it knows where it is. All these other lines are blue because they're not linked to anything. They can all just move, which is good for us because it doesn't look right yet. So so I'm going to put another dimension. I'm going to say from here to here, that is 1.1. There we go. Okay, so then let's get a couple other dimensions. So as I mentioned before, so one hard thing about section views is that you can't just select these lines. It's just a view, it's not an actual thing. So, but it is 2 millimeters across. You can do that by getting the internal and out and external faces there. So it's 2 millimeters in diameter. So let's go back here, add that. That is 2. It looks pretty big now. And then, let's see, what else can we do? So we want, this diameter here that has a radius of 4. So that means that this here, that is 4. Oh, okay, so we ran into some problems. So I'm going to go back there. Let's zoom out just a little bit. I'm going to drag these drag this out as far as I can, drag this up a good ways, drag this up. Maybe that's a good one to do first. So let's get that to there, those dimensions. Between those, that is 12. So from edge to edge, it's 12.58, but that doesn't matter because all we want is this one, 12 millimeters. So up to this point from here to here, come on, there we go. That is 12. So again, we're running into some problems here with dimensions, but that is okay. Bring this up, and then this being 4 gets much easier. Yeah, then we just have to put in the height there. I'm going to say these 2 points are, nope. So that automatically assumed that they were horizontal. I want them actually to be vertical, so we have to do some changes here. Pull this up a little bit more. There we go. This and this are horizontal. There we go. So we're getting there, right? We got some pieces. Yeah. Okay. So we need, let me see. Right, we don't have the entire outer diameter. That's important. Let's just grab this. There we go, radius 12.5. You come back here. Distance from the center shaft out here is 12.5. You can see with every dimension that we add, we get a little bit closer to, we get a couple more black lines, a couple more things are defined, which is really good. Okay, so down here, if you can see, if we zoom in, having some problems down here. So this is getting off. These are not actually aligned. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these 2 lines and make them collinear. There we go. So now it's perfectly on that line. That is great. Okay, so most of these things down here are, most of these things down here are black lines, which means that they're all defined. That's perfect. Then we just need the vertical heights of these. So come back here, go to my measure tool again, and go from this bottom face up to this top face here. That is 83.3 millimeters. That seems pretty arbitrary, and it is. It's whatever AI defined it to be. So, but we're just gonna go with that. So from this line down here, I'm hitting the D key, by the way, to get to the dimensions tool. So that distance is 83.333. Okay, so as you can see, right, that just shot up there, so that is how that looks wrong to me. Looks pretty tall. I might be right. Now that I see this, you know, they might be right. Yeah, I guess it's only 1/2 of that, so we'll try it and see how it goes. The nice thing about this design, the reason that we're doing this is because if we do this, then we can come back on the sketches afterwards and fix any problems or change things later on, any dimensions, which is super nice. So let's go to our measure tool again, get the total height, 250 millimeters. Awesome. So it means that our last undefined or unconstrained dimension here is this one, last unconstrained line. So that to the bottom, that is 250. Okay, so that, again, that's just shut up, right? So this looks kind of wonky and like you can't even barely see it because there's so many dimensions. But so here's what we're gonna do now. So we finish the sketch. We're gonna come over here to revolve. And this revolves these sections around an axis. We're gonna do that. So those are the profiles that we want to revolve, and then we're gonna click on the axis, and it is that axis. And look, there we go. So making a new body. So obviously it doesn't look like a lot right now, but there we go. Look at that. So now we have the very basics of an auger. It doesn't have any coil in there, like any actual screw in there yet, but the very basics of an auger. We technically have two bodies right now, so we should name them really quick. So I'm going to call this one the shaft, and this one the pipe. This is just to tell them apart. We'll need that in a little bit. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah. I want to show a section view as well, just so we can see. So this is what it looks like right now. This is what we have. So obviously there's no screw inside, but we do have the middle shaft. So we're all set up to put the screw inside. One thing to note as well is that up at the top here, this auger has this mechanism here. Not a mechanism, just these holes. We just have to move away from that. So eventually there's going to be a cap on top of this. And so you can just fill it openly and then cap it. And then, and that'll be it. So we moved away from this design, which is nice because the way we don't have to recreate this and then delete it. Doing it this way, we can just not have it there in the first place. And eventually, in another video, we'll add the gear as well. And the threading and cap on top. But for this right now, we're just going to add the screw. Okay, so I'll take that view away. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go up to Create, and then to Coil. And I'm going to click on this bottom face here, just so that gives us a starting place. And then you have to start, we have to draw it out. So I'm going to go to the center. Draw it out to the edge, 25 millimeters. So that's what we have. Not sure why it's going down, but that's okay. You can change that. So I'm only going 83.33. Yep, just like that. And then this actually represents our represents the auger. So this isn't going to exactly be the auger, but it's going to be the foundation for it. So we want it to be the same height, and then let's pick our revolutions over here, shall we? So this auger over here goes around. This one's actually not quite accurate. It doesn't go all the way down to the bottom, but it goes around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'd say 8, maybe even 9 times. Let's look at 9 and see, or let's try for 9 and see how that goes. So it finished the feature because I got out, but let's try 8. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So if we flip over to the same orientation as the other one, we have 1, 2, 3. Actually, you know what we can do? So we're gonna have a new body here. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep this, inside. I'll have it be square just for kicks. We'll leave that, everything else alone for now. This section doesn't actually matter because we're only using it as a reference anyways. But so I'm going to call this the coil. You can see here if we take away the outer pieces, this is what we have. This is what we just made. Now that I think about it, I think I'm going to go back actually and make it a circle. I'm not sure it matters, but that's the way I've done it before. So so if you see that, right, this is what we're looking at. So it goes all the way up to the top, all the way down to the bottom. If we orient it the same way, then it goes around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It ends right at the very bottom. And at the top, that looks pretty good to me. So, okay, so we'll call that good. Okay, so this next thing we're going to do, so obviously this doesn't look like the screw that we need. And so we're going to make a new sketch. Just going to put it on this angle here. And then we're going to go down on Create, go to Project/Include, and go to Project to Surface. And here we're going to pick the face here of the, I don't know why it's selecting that as well. I have to hide the shaft. There we go. So select the face and the curve of this coil. Hit OK. And then we're done with the coil. We can get rid of this. I'll mention in the video description will be a tutorial that I pulled a lot of this from for this coil part, which has been very helpful. So yeah, thanks to the team at Product Design Online, I think. But I'll put it in the description. Okay, so now we have this. So if we move our view, you can see that it just coils up and around, and so that's very helpful. That will help us understand that we can sweep a profile along this. So to do that, we're going to go back here. We have to figure out the dimensions of what we need here. So okay, so let's get close here. So one thing I'm going to do here, first thing, I'm going to select the top and the bottom of that, and we can see that they're about 0.5 millimeters across. One of the things that I'm trying to do with this, with these recreations, is fix a lot of the stuff that is kind of wonky, a lot of the arbitrary distances, and so we're going to just make that 0.5. And again, if it ends up being a problem, we can change it. But 0.5 thick. And I was trying before, it's really hard to get any kind of other information out of that just using the inspection tool. So we'll leave that at that. And again, this version is not the red nozzle. It should go all the way down. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to start here at the bottom. Move back to the front view here. And then so I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to start all the way on the side. Over here, 0.5 tall. And then here, so I want to go over, wait a minute. Okay, so actually, I'm realizing now that this line does not represent the actual outer wall of the pipe. But the pipe, you can see that it's way bigger. That's just how the coil worked. But because we're just using it as the path, not as any other kind of reference, then it should be okay. So I'm going to make another construction rectangle here. So I have it 0.5 tall, great, and then we're going to have it 0.4 wide. That's because this matches the internal diameter of, or I guess like the edge diameter of that nozzle that comes down. I can show it right here, and so so we're gonna have it start right here and just take it all the way out to the edge, and then that'll be the size of it as it goes up. That means that it will go all the way down to right here, but Fusion makes problems if you go any further. So yeah, so that's just for construction. And we go here. It's 0.5 tall again. And then 12.5 is the whole distance, so 12.1 is the distance to the outer edge. We don't want it necessarily all the way to the outer edge. It can be, but maybe not, so we'll go back. The outer edge is 2 millimeters wide, so we'll take one off. So let's go to 11.1 or so. And again, that's kind of arbitrary, but yeah, so I'm gonna finish this sketch and then I'll show you with the section view. If you turn on our section view here, oh, we got to turn on the rest of our things too. Not the coil, the pipe. Oh, I have the section view on the wrong side. Regardless of this, this sketch should come across to right in the middle of this shaft and start right at the edge of that. So should be good. In fact, these should not be touching at the bottom here. That's as far as it's letting me zoom in. But see that little gap there? That's just what we want. Okay, so I'll get rid of that section view there. Hide these things as well. Okay, so now we are going to go down under create and sweep. And we have to make a profile, a path, and then we need a guide surface as well. That's just something to help this. If we just do a single path, then it's not enough information to really to understand this. So we're going to do a guide surface. So I'm going to click on this. Obviously the profile that we just made there, and then I'm going to click on, for the path, I'm going to click on this coil, and for the guide surface, I'm going to click on the bottom surface of the pipe. It can also just be this bottom surface there, like the plane, or whatever you need it to be, but that's what we're using. Okay, so that should take us all the way up. I'm going to add our section view back. It might make your computer run a little slow, but add the shaft back. So it looks like it runs up all the way to the top, so that just looks great. And then one more thing, so right now it's going to cut, so it's going to cut into the pipe and the shaft. And so that's not what we want. We want to join them, actually, make them one body. And so when we do that, we're going to bring everything together and combine everything here, which is just what we want. So you also have to make sure that these are visible. So if you don't have the pipe visible, for example, then it'll make this one piece, but the pipe won't be included in that. So as long as they're visible, there we go. Then we can say OK. And there you have it. So now this is our beautiful auger. So we can look down at this nozzle here. So you can see every piece is, there we go. Every piece here comes down. The screw is continuous. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. So in another video, I'll add the gear, and then in a video after that, I'll add the threading. And then, yeah, but without the section view, that's how it looks. And there we go. That is how you make the most simple version of an auger. There you go. We'll also have to save this, of course. I'm going to say, so let's save this right now. You probably should have saved this before. Just to clarify, so I'm in the Vertical Cloud Lab workspace under Powder Doser. We made a new project for this. This is these are the all the parts that we've made. Untitled is right here. So I'm going to name this Auger. I will call this Auger V1. Or simple. We'll call it Auger Simple because it doesn't have the gear or the threading yet. And I'll add storage as well because it does have the storage capability. And then, yeah, I'll save it right there. And then we have this, and there's no asterisk, which means that it is saved. And then also, just a good thing to do, I'm going to save this. I'm going to put it into Powder Doser, but I'll put it into the original parts. I think this is an STL file. And so I'm going to write step here, just so we know for sure. And then it should be saved. There we go. So now we can come back to this anytime that we need. But then we just made this. And so the nice thing about this is that we can go back and change any of these dimensions, and it will affect the whole thing going forward. And super easy to change. So yeah. And one more thing, a lot of this, the threading came from a YouTube tutorial that I will put link in the description. Yeah,